When looking at the interplay of reality and fiction in cinema, the works of auteurs like Jean-Luc Godard and Abas Kiarostami, particularly the latter, emerge. Kiarostami, for instance, introduces the concept of a film which is half made until the moment of creation. This idea is exemplified in his cinema, especially in films like 10, where events are captured as they unfold, and responses from non-actors are seamlessly incorporated, as we also see in movies like Through the Olive Trees and Taste of Cherry. But I'm not just giving an analysis, but I'm engaging in a dialogue with you, the viewer, much like Kiarostami does in the discussions in this short 10 on 10. In his case, he shares his thoughts from a familiar and intimate space, the car, where people often feel at ease having conversations that they might otherwise engage in. In my case, I'm not just having a conversation, but I'm also engaging in a form of self-reflection, looking back at myself through the visor I'm wearing while conversing with the camera. Of course, there's some setup involved for this shot, like taking flight and setting the drone at station keeping. But after this, it's pretty much an autonomous agent set to maintain its position despite the wind and rotation of the Earth for as long as the battery is going to last. This establishes this intimate space of looking, or pure cinema as Jean-Luc Nancy puts it, or the delicate space between the real and the fake, as Ishakpour notes, or Copjec's notion of the Barzakh, which I paraphrase as the minimal separation between the condition and sight of that encounter, distinct from the notion of contact, corresponding to a form of Lacanian lack. This space is what I call the intimate void. This is the liminal space of pure cinema, in which there is a minimal space of pure vision and the plenitude of realities surrounding you. This in its own way indicates the Freudian cut, or the event from which there is no return. The lifting off of the drone, the exhaustion of power without knowing where my recharger is, suddenly realizing that the drone's microphone had been working when I didn't think it was, may of course making this voiceover necessary, and then feeding the video through artificial intelligence, placing it then in the image space of billions of other images which are constantly emerging and disappearing like quantum noise. I, as my autonomous drone selfie persona, slides into the infinite void, reminding us that this is just a film, doubly so that this AI rendering of reality seems to be an animation, but it's just a representation of actual events, as with the fictions of rotoscoped action in the film through the scanner darkly. This doubles the action, as it's clear that this is cinema, but you also mean that this wasn't animated per se? Instead of sliding between two poles, as in Kiarostami's film, I hover between three: reality, fiction, and the imminent latent space of generative animation. My locus of representation is like Copjec's interpretation of Avicenna's flying man, in motion between states but not clearly touching one or the other. This again is intended as a space of pure cinema. Not only am I reminding you that this is cinema, but I'm also telling you that this is part of the representational AI space as well. It's a boomerang gaze that forks and recombines as the parallel spaces, cinema and animation, coincide. Much of the forms of cinema, as in Kiarostami, Godard, and others, relate to the pseudo-documentary form of cinema verite, in which this particular video is no different. This is a situation which, constructed from actual events as they unfold, someone seeking to do a mini-documentary about the neo-realist film genre with a drone that has limited flight time, a microphone that is of questionable function, and leaving the filmmaker to write the dialogue after the image is made. It's not half done. It's actually more of an incidental collage that reflects on itself and its subject by necessity. But by now, the battery's about done. I would have said this had I been recording myself live, but that in itself is a fiction that hopefully points towards the truth I'm getting at, and I hope that I can leave things at that.